believes Gary Roberts and company came fast and furious at the Wild just 2 nights ago. But Wes Walz, with 2 goals in his last 2 games played, has Calgary on his mind. As the Wild hope to ground the pocket rocket, Valerie Bure, coming up tonight. Well, the whistle's blown, and that means the weekend is underway. And what a way to spend your Friday night right here in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. The brand new XL Energy Center. Sellout crowd expected again this evening for Wild hockey as the Wild return home to take on the Calgary Flames. Now, perfect night for hockey here in St. Paul as we are set inside the XL Energy Center for the first of 5 meetings this season between the Calgary Flames and the Minnesota Wild. Let's check out tonight's starting goaltenders, brought to you by Ream Heating and Cooling. Mike Vernon played last night. Freddie Brathwaite will start this evening.
I tell you, he's not very big, Mike, but he is a guy that can play. He's a guy who's got great moves, good stand-up, and he'll be focused.
And Manny Fernandez, who played the second 2 periods 2 nights ago against Toronto, will get the start here tonight. We are underway. The Minnesota Wild in the white jerseys, in the road uniforms, Jerome Aginla, and the Calgary Flames. Our referees, Mick Magoo and Dean Warren. The linesmen are Thor Nelson and Brian Mock. Puck controlled by the Wild. Curtis Decision. Marian Gaborik back to number 10 tonight. He was starting the season at 10, went to 82. Now he's back to number 10, scored 4 goals in jersey number 10, has scored no goals in jersey number 82. Weir Karam off the backboards to the pad side of Manny Fernandez.
And that's a good reason also to change your jersey. And that's one thing that Coach Jacques Lemaire commented to him when he made the change. Why would you change it when you got that many goals?
Here is Wes Walz, 2 in his last 2 games played. Gaborik fans on the shot, and the puck is swept aside. Walz has it, flips it in. All right, that was too easy. It's hanging there. So, Tom, how many times did you change your number in your
Obviously not enough, did I?
I'm sorry, it was just way too easy. Well, get it started early tonight. It's the weekend. What do you say, partner?
You're on.
All right, O'Donnell sends it into the zone. Freddie Brathwaite, Tommy Albaline, Brad Rowenka on the point position. Valerie Bure saw Pavel last Sunday on a Friday night. We see the pocket rocket, Valerie Bure. Puck kept in the Minnesota zone. Manny Fernandez sweeps it over towards Aaron Gavey. Bure on the forecheck. And now Wes Walz, the former Calgary Flame player for 2 seasons and a native of that city in Alberta, trying to work it behind the net. Bure has been in a huge scoring slump. Behind the net, it is Jeff Shantz. Shantz to Bure. Bure looking for it. Saprikin, and the save made by Manny Fernandez. And we get things started. 2 teams that are going to get to know each other very well over the next few seasons. Of course, when we see Calgary, Tom, it means we get a chance to see St. Paul's own Phil Housley.
And I tell you, there's not many defensemen who are better. We talked about his strengths, how good he is for this hockey club. You look at his games in the NHL, just 2 away from that 1,300 mark, and look at the offense that he brings to this hockey club also. He has been around for a long time, 19th year in the National Hockey League, and I can remember these days when he was playing in South St. Paul under Coach Doug Wu, who was with the Gophers for many, many years, and he was one of the very few players that could step right out of the high school ranks and play at the big level.
5 assists shy of 19th all-time. He stands at 820 career assists, 5 away from Alex Del Vecchio. The draw is 1. Lidman fires it, and it's deflected to the side of Manny Fernandez. Jerome Aginla, former finalist for the Calder Trophy, is the NHL's Rookie of the Year. Now it's Stacey Roost, kept in at the blue line. Aginla came from Dallas, where he was a top pick in the Joe Nieuwendyk trade, and he has not disappointed. Aginla had career-high numbers 1 season ago. Past Lidman and down towards Freddie Brathwaite. 32, Tony Lidman, a rookie out of Finland, tries to bring the puck out of the zone. Robin Reger moves it up across the line. Mark Savard leaves it. Shot, save, rebound. Aginla, oh, what a stick save made by Fernandez. The first shot by Saprikin, a good save by Fernandez. Equally as impressive on the rebound attempt from Jerome Aginla.
Well, that was the best opportunity in this game so far, and once again, Fernandez had to be quick. Minnesota a little bit lax in their own end on that last flurry.
Here is Roost. He loses it. The veteran Dave Lowry, longtime Florida Panther player who went to the Stanley Cup Finals with the Panthers in 1995. Housley now works on Andy Sutton. Sutton throws it in, and an offside is called.
Well, you've got to have a goaltender, as we said before, being so important, and that's going to be Iginla who gets the last chance to take that shot at the netminder. But these guys were moving that puck in there very, very well, trying to get that first goal. This is a team that wants to get a quick start here. They have struggled, as we said before, in some areas. And look at the Fernandez, how he makes the first save, comes right back, able to make the second save. Good and flat on the ice in case that puck is nice and low, but he has come up big for the Wild early on. 3 shots coming his way, none by the Wild at the opposite end.
Across the line comes Calgary. They lost last night at the Savvis Center in St. Louis 4-3 to the St. Louis Blues. So finally the Wild benefit from a team playing the second half of a back-to-back situation instead of being on the receiving end of that situation as they have on 2 occasions already this year. Bill Lindsay on the backhand pushed off the puck. Dwayne Hay will play it, leaves it behind. Here is Lindsay again. Lindsay got a stick high. It came from Darby Hendrickson, and there will be a power play for Calgary, who has controlled the entire pace so far.
Well, Darby Hendrickson is going to get the first punt at this hockey, and Bill Lindsley had the puck, and Darby Hendrickson was trying to hook him with the stick, got a little bit high up in the facial area. It'll be called on that, and so this will be the first power of the game. Watch right here. You see, Hendrickson also wearing the shield to protect the face. He got cut, and look where the referee is. Lindsay just takes a little bit of a shot there with the stick, and so that comes at 3:40 of the period.
So Darby Hendrickson sits in the penalty box for the next 2 minutes, and the penalty kill will go on the ice for the Minnesota Wild. And front page of the Calgary Sun sports section today was very critical of the power play efforts of the Calgary Flames so far this season. Calgary's power play has been powerless, including a 3-for-33 effort in the last 3 games. They were just 1 of 11 last night against the St. Louis Blues. Savard almost had it taken away. Pellerin gets it back into the neutral zone. A guy to watch on the power play blue line, of course, is Phil Housley. He's at the point with Boré, who moves back from a wing position. Savard, Iginla, and Corey Stillman up front for the Flames. Benesic in. Lecision will try to help out. Now it's Stillman to the point. Housley just snaps a shot weakly, and Pellerin flips it into center. Picked back up by Phil Housley. Across the line he'll come. Housley had the power play goal last night against St. Louis for Calgary. Iginla tied up by Lecision. Corey Stillman had 2 goals last night against the St. Louis Blues. Here is Boré. Boré at the point. Played by Mark Savard. Lecision moves in on him. Pellerin tries to get to center. He does. 1 minute remains on the high sticking call against Darby Hendrickson. Savard to Housley. Across the line he'll come. He'll stop. Throws it towards Mark Savard. Loose puck gathered in by Jerome Iginla. 3 black jerseys all on the near side boards. Nobody on the other side except for Antti Laaksonen.
Well, the Wild did a good job of just controlling the puck in their own zone, controlling the players, keeping everything to the outside, and then finally getting a chance with Laaksonen coming down the far side. A good shorthanded opportunity for them.
Let's go downstairs, check out the 3rd member of our broadcast team. Here's Eric Nelson.
Well, Mike, you talked about Valerie Boré's scoring drought. This guy's so hungry for a goal, his ribs are showing. He's gone 25 games without scoring. His last goal was March 7th of 2000. Remember, last year he had 35 goals and 75 points. Now, Mario Tremblay told me last Saturday against Toronto, they were looking at the video, and he had 3 close calls. So the guy has been a victim of bad luck. We'll go back upstairs.
Now, he is in a serious drought. 8 shots also against the Leafs. Last year surpassed his previous career high by 22 points as he led this Calgary team in goals, points, power play goals, and in shots. 308 shots on goal.
Yeah, it becomes a mental game at this stage of it also, because you're thinking about what can we do to get off the boards. On that last play also, there was a penalty that was called against the Flames, and that is going to be a hooking call going against Iginla, and so that's sometimes a lazy easy penalty when you're coming back into your own zone, just trying to capture onto a player. You'll use your stick against him. He was called for it, so that will even things up on the ice.
So 37 seconds of 4-on-4 hockey potentially, with Darby Hendrickson's penalty set to click away. And then the Wild will have their first chance with the man advantage here at the XL Energy Center. Chance crosses the line, stops at the top of the circles. Jason Weimer, who was involved with the Steve Thomas incident. We talked about Steve Thomas not in the lineup 2 nights ago for Toronto in a fight with Weimer. Weimer's okay. He's in the lineup here again tonight for Calgary.
Well, he's no stranger to that penalty box area either. He's their #1 penalty guy with 57 minutes on the year. The closest guy to him on the Wild team is O'Donnell with 37 minutes.
Put into the zone by Cam Stewart. Bumped by Lidman. Out of the box comes Darby Hendrickson. 1:17 remaining in power play #1 for the Minnesota Wild. Behind the net, it's Pellerin. Gets it to the point in Sekrish. Sekrish to Pellerin. Pellerin down. Stewart up front. Kuba at one point. And Sekrish at the other. Sekrish has it in the middle of the ice. Here is Kuba. Kuba wanted the cross ice towards Pellerin. Sekrish fakes it. Kuba has it. Top of the dots. They looked for it. They didn't get it. Tommy, is that a tough pass, a good pass, not a good pass?
That's a tough pass. When it doesn't go through, you've got too many bodies and too many sticks in that area to make that long rink-wide pass. And it was a perfect read also at the same time by Oberlin, who just got his stick right in the way. He kind of read that play before it even happened.
But somehow you need to generate some cross-ice passes to break down the box, don't you?
Well, you absolutely do, but he'd be better off to pull back just a little bit towards the end boards, and that would open up the defenseman who can get that puck also.
That's the easier pass, but Lucian couldn't get a shot away. And watch out, here comes Corey Stillman. Stillman has it knocked off his stick by Kuba. 20 seconds now left in the man advantage. Wild have controlled the puck inside the Calgary zone. Haven't gotten a shot away. Stacey Roost across the line. Loose puck picked up by Gabrick. Shot off the side of the net. Pellerin tried to deflect it. Roost can't turn now. Here is Gabrick. Gabrick and Roost. Freddie Brathwaite looking for his stick. Steve Smith, the captain, got it to him. The stick was on the ground. Smith wisely slid the stick into the hands of the goalie, Freddie Brathwaite. Now it's Gabrick. Centering pass towards Pellerin, intercepted by Dave Lowry. Both teams are back at even strength, and there's the veteran Steve Smith bringing it out of the zone.
And a good play by Lowry also, because he ragged the puck just a few minutes, and just instead of just shooting the puck down the ice, took his time with it, make sure it was open before he shot.
Now, you want to talk about one of the finest penalty killers in the National Hockey League. Dave Lowry in his 16th season has always excelled in that role. Across the line comes Jason Weimer. Weimer on the backhand, swept aside by Fernandez. Walls is back. Turned over, it's Valerie Bourret. Bourret looking behind the net. Mark Savard. Savard wants Weimer. Waiting, looking. Shot from the side of the net. Housley came all the way in from the blue line. That is his game. That's why he's the top U.S.-born scorer in National Hockey League history. Still got some wheels left. He'll touch up, and the icing is called. So a good scoring chance a moment ago with the man advantage for the Wild. We are scoreless. Don Hay is a head coach again in his first season as the leader of the Calgary Flames. 1974 draftee of the North Stars. Played 3 years in that organization, and he was talking to you this morning about remembering coming to camp when Tom Reed was one of the Grizzly vets at the blue line.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it? He also served as the assistant coach to Pierre Pagé, who was with the North Stars, but in those times he was in Calgary, also in Anaheim. And so he brings 1 year of experience as a head coach in the National Hockey League with Phoenix, and did a very good job for them, but lost his job there.
Got him into the playoffs that year, and some were surprised that Don Hay did not continue as the head coach of Phoenix. Went with Pierre Pagé, as you mentioned beforehand, and in fact the last time he was an assistant with Calgary was the last time the Calgary Flames made the postseason, and that was 5 years ago. Behind the play, Matt Johnson is going to go with Wade Bielik. Bielik and Johnson right in front of Brathwaite. Oh, Johnson tried to get a good shot in. And down they go.
Well, it becomes a wrestling match. That started back along the boards. Bielik caught Johnson with a pretty good check, and it was a solid check. And Johnson just kind of let him know. And, of course, when someone jabbers at you a little bit, you have a tendency to come back right at him. And Bielik will be the guy, along with Johnson, that will go to the box. You watch right here. Now watch what happens right in this corner. Watch this right here. Stop there. You're going to see as he goes into the boards right there, all of a sudden, as he goes in, watch the check. He's got the puck here, and here's a check from the side. Not from behind, but from the side. Took exception to that, and all of a sudden he goes down. As they get back up, then the jawing started. doesn't like the check sometimes, but you know what? Sometimes you have to give and you have to take. And these two guys will head to the penalty box. We'll see if they're both majors are fighting, which I think they will be. That coming at 8:28 of the first period.
So Matt Johnson and Wade Belloc going to the penalty box at 8:28. Belloc came from the Colorado Avalanche to the Calgary Flames as part of the Theo Fleury deal, and Theo Fleury may still rank as the most popular player ever to wear a Flame sweater.
He did not dress last night against the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis, but he's got some size too at 6'4", 222 pounds in his 4th year. Has not played a lot over the first 3 years, just 84 games. Last year, though, only 2 points, but 122 minutes in penalties.
2-minute instigator has been given to.
Yeah, I was wondering because he came up off the floor pretty quick.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you go right back at him. That gives you an extra 2-minute penalty for being the instigator.
Yeah. May have gotten him for a slash or instigating. Nonetheless, it means power play number 2 for the Calgary Flames. We talked about their troubles with the man advantage, Tom, and they are well documented. They have really, really struggled on the power play this year. Just at 10%. 24th in the NHL, 7 of 70. Last year, despite missing the playoffs, Calgary had the 5th-ranked power play in the entire National Hockey League, and they've got most of the same personnel on this power play unit again this hockey season, especially with Phil Housley at one of the points. Bure keeps it in, walking, looking for the pass. Knocked down and kept in again by Weimer, cleared out by Jim Dowd.
Good play by Dowd, just holding his ground. The puck came to him, one quick turn, and all the way down the ice.
So Housley will bring it up in his 19th NHL season. 1,299 games played, including tonight, in the National Hockey League. Bure. Across the line he'll come. Corey Stillman wants it. Benesic will jump to it first. He goes down. Play goes right on. To the point to Bure. Bure across to Housley. Mishandles the puck. Laxton closes the gap. Now Corey Stillman wants it. Left for Mark Savard. To the point and Bure. Bure, Savard. Savard back to the point. Valerie Bure gives it over to Mark Savard. Savard behind the net. Stillman pushes it right back towards the near side boards. Around the outside, the Flames are working it. Housley can't handle it. And Lecision steps in and flies it out of play.
Well, the reason they're on the outside is because the Wild really forced them to the outside. They did not give them time to move that puck into the center of the rink, and that's where the shots are the most dangerous. And so the Wild penalty killers doing a good job. They're trying to get Bure and Housley to move that puck to the center, but they could not. You watch along here, everything is going to the perimeter here. And finally, what happens is you try and force them into making a bad pass or a bad play at some point, but see how everything is outside. And so if you want to stop right there, you'll see the area in from here to the net. There's nothing coming in here as far as the puck goes. And so when you have that area like that, that makes it a lot easier for the goaltender because you know the opposition is not going to get that shot away.
So 20 seconds left in the penalty that put the Wild shorthanded. The slashing call against Matt Johnson, and the Flames in danger of opening this game 0 for 2 on the power play. And Don Hay talked last night because there were many power play opportunities in the contest against St. Louis, and he said when you don't score on the power play, especially on the road early, then you lose some of your momentum, and the home team killing off penalties in front of the home crowd starts to feel better about themselves.
Well, it's the same way when you kill off a 5-minute major penalty. We've seen that happen here with the Wild. When you kill it off, that kind of brings up your level of energy. When you have 11 power play opportunities to get 1 goal out of it, I mean that's very, very difficult. You've got to have a better shooting percentage than that. And this is the team that has got some gifted players. It's not that they haven't got players who can't score goals. They can. Unfortunately, right now, it becomes a mental game for them.
Well, they had at least 3.5 minutes of 5-on-3 opportunity last night also. And yet the only shot that comes on this power play is the one from the Minnesota Wild's Cam Stewart just a moment ago. Lidman across the line. Fernandez will freeze, and we will get a whistle with 9:22 remaining in the first period. So the Flames 0 for 2 with the man advantage, and we are scoreless in St. Paul. Treasure Island Resort and Casino trivia question tonight. Now, don't be too quick to come up with this answer. Who won the 1982 Minnesota High School Hockey Championship? We saw Phil Housley, but think about it a second. If you saw the pregame show, Phil gave you a little hint on who might have won that. Treasure Island Resort Casino Trivia. From the point, the veteran Steve Smith. His shot wide of Manny Fernandez. Now Sutton plays it. 5-on-5 hockey. 9:04 remains in the first period. Mike Goldberg, Tom Reed, Eric Nelson, happy to be with you tonight. Here from the home arena of the Minnesota Wild, the XL Energy Center. Steve Smith, the veteran, stands up. Maxim Sushinsky on the far side boards, and it's dumped right back in to the Flame zone. Smith wearing number 55 in his 17th NHL season. Hay will get it up through center and dumped into the zone by Dave Lowry. Lowry signed in the offseason as a free agent. Stillman had injury problems last year, but he is a stud. He had 2 goals last night against St. Louis. As Reger will run down and get it. Reger, a native, Tom, of Brazil.
A lot of players come out of Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. Soccer players.
Well, you know, the thing is, the hockey being global like it is right now, you get players coming from all over the world. So it's kind of interesting. Some of the players born in England, and you said Brazil, and so we're getting quite a bit. Number of nationalities as you look at the Wild and where the majority of their players are from. And look at the Flames. I mean, they're also, I mean, you have to be bilingual to be a coach or a player or an official on the ice in today's game.
Bi may not be enough. You might have to be trilingual at this point. Regier coming also as part of the Theo Fleury deal here to a Calgary Flames uniform. So Stillman, Bore, Lowry, Wawrinka, and Albeline. Gavey, Walls, Laxinen, Lecision, and Benisic on the ice surface right now. 3 shots for the Flames, 2 for the Wild. Scoreless first period so far. Here comes Calgary looking for Dave Lowry. Couldn't get a shot away, and the puck trickles through center and into the Flames zone. Brad Wawrinka will leave it on the boards. Tommy Albeline will try to start it up. Wawrinka bashed himself into the backboards, and now Stillman whips it around and back towards the near side. Body checked by Walls on Bore. He'll try to get him one more time. Digging in. Here is Corey Stillman. And the breakout controlled by Brad Wawrinka. Benisic behind his own net. Circles around. Stillman in pursuit. Almost took it off his stick. And it's bounced into center by Aaron Gavey. To the near side, Albeline. Albeline dumps it around. Savard goes down. A whistle and a stoppage in play, but it's a linesman who blew the whistle, so I don't think we're going to have a penalty.
It was an icing call is what it was. Albeline took the shot just before the red line, took it all the way down, and I think people thought there may have been a penalty because of the player going down. That was not the case. That will bring the face-off back into the Calgary zone. You watch right here. Nice defensive play. Look how the defensive right here. If you watch him right here. Stop right there. You notice how he just kind of backed him into the boards there. Defensemen all they have to do is take the body, move him in. That allows his teammate to come and pick up the loose puck right there. And that's how you want to work it. You work as a pair.
Now the face-off game at center time, it might have been one of those situations where one linesman said, no, you should have waved it off. The other blew it down, and so they compromised. And the face-off comes at center. On the whistle, no penalty nonetheless. Steve Smith, longtime Edmonton Oiler. And also played many seasons down the road in Chicago. We'll see the Blackhawks Sunday 7 o'clock game right here at the XL Energy Center. That game will be televised by KNSP.
Well, you better get used to seeing this team because we're going to see them a little bit coming up here on November the 5th in Calgary, back here on the 8th at the XL Center, and then on the 22nd back here at the XL Energy Center.
Again, a shot. Fernandez save. It's amazing that the schedule makers have put 4 of the 5 games against a division foe before the end of November. I mean, gapped into almost a month's time. You see a team 4 of the 5 times you're going to see them in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm surprised they've done that because you build your rivalries, especially if you can go along and being within your own division. I mean, these are 4-point games that they call them because if Calgary wins, they're 2 points ahead of them right now. They go up another 2 points. Minnesota stays where they are, and then you have to get 4 points to catch up to them. So the one thing that the Wild need to do is they have to get a little bit stronger here along the boards. This is where you win your games. You battle along the boards, you get the puck, you make plays with it, and you get the shots on the target.
Now Calgary finds himself only 2 points ahead of the Minnesota Wild right now in the standings with 7 points on the season. Minnesota with 5. Question remains in the Northwest Division. Will the Colorado Avalanche ever lose? 8-0-2
I bet they do.
I bet they do too. I don't think they'll go undefeated. Won in overtime last night. Peter Forsberg, power play goal in overtime after Chris Drury tied it in the final 2 minutes against the Nashville Predators.
Look at Phil Housley. He was with me the day I scored a hole-in-one. Come on. At Southview Country Club in St. Paul. Got a hole-in-one in a golf tournament out there.
I thought you were no good.
I wasn't any good. And then after, you know, when you goes in the hole like that and the clown's nose lights up, you get a free prize.
I figured it was one of those, you know, par 3, 170 yards, and
that's exactly what it was.
You hit a 3-wood. Bounced it off a couple of houses.
It went in.
It did. Hey, you know what? No pictures on the scorecard, baby.
Got my score in double digits anyway.
Absolutely. Shot a 99 with a hole-in-one. Near side boards, Ladislav Benecic up past Gavey. Over the glove of Housley. Picked up by Sushinsky, dumped in. Freddie Brathwaite plays it there. Jason Weimer skates it down. Oh boy. And a good scoring opportunity for Stacey Roos, gloved by Fred Brathwaite. Roos still looking for his first of the year. Like the chance there.
St. Paul, a scoreless game. The Flames and the Wild, you know.
So yeah, we're enjoying it tonight.
This was your first year of not playing Major League Baseball. Do you miss it?
Yes, I do. There's parts of the game that I was watching and it's like, man, I got to get out there and play. But through the whole gist of a season, no, I'm trade. All 4 guys are in the big leagues. TK, I think his record speaks for himself. He's been limited on talent over the last few years of what he can do, but given, as you mentioned, a power hitter, keeping that pitching staff together, solidifying the catching department a little bit, and I definitely think they can contend.
All right, Terry, thanks for stopping by. Terry, by the way, sitting right behind the Calgary bench, back upstairs.
Now, Laura Day worked a long time with the Minnesota Twins, so she knows Terry, and she put him right in the perfect spot where people can yell.
And he can boo at them all night long.
Absolutely. Longtime Oakland Athletic, superb baseball player. And here in Minnesota, enjoying the Wild tonight. Renka cut right in front of his own net. Antti Laakkonen's got a little jump going tonight, Tom. He's been on the forecheck a couple of times. Had the shorthanded scoring opportunity on the far side boards. Keep an eye on Antti Laakkonen. Darby Hendrickson to the point. Kuba a drive. It hit the post. Philip Kuba clanks it off the iron. Penalty forthcoming. Hendrickson a wraparound. He scores! Second goal of the season for Minnesota's own Darby Hendrickson.
Watch right here, the Wild controlling the puck in their own zone. And here's a wraparound by Darby Hendrickson. That's what we talk about, getting control and getting to the net. That's what you want to have. Minnesota doing the job, and Kuba does a great job here of getting the puck in right to the target, just off the pipe. And look, as Darby takes the pass right in behind, he goes by using the net as almost a barrier so no one can get to him, steps out on the other side, puts it away, 1-0 Minnesota.
Antti Laakkonen started it with the forecheck. Kuba with the big drive. Jacques Lemaire says Philip Kuba has the most powerful shot on this team. Clanks it off the iron. Darby Hendrickson, his second goal of the season, his first since opening night here at the X. Gabrick a drive. Brathwaite sweeps the rebound aside as Dowd was trying to jump upon it. In the neutral zone, here's Lecision. And this Wild team is energized. They have scored first here tonight.
That's interference.
There was a delayed penalty a second ago, and Smith got the stick high on Pellerin. Now Calgary called for another penalty, and this time the Wild will take the power play.
Well, Pellerin had not even gotten to the puck. The puck was laid into the corner, and he was hit by Smith before he even got there. And so Mr. Magoo calls a penalty against the Calgary Flames. And as you called it the right, Mike, when you said energized. Minnesota with a good chance here. That goal got them going. And as they kept on moving with that puck towards the net, that's what you want to have. But that was the penalty you saw. Here's the chance coming right here. Watch Brathwaite right here. Very quick to get and knock it right into the corner. That's where it's not dangerous. He didn't have time to get the glove to it, but he had that stick. The momentum was going that way. But here's the goal as you look at it once again. A big goal, a big lift for this Wild team. They have struggled getting the goals, but tonight they get the first one. Watch right here. You see where the puck is in the corner? If you watch right in here, you see where the puck is here, nice and close. All of a sudden, though, you see as Pellerin goes goes in, he's taken out by Smith. And so it's going to be a 4-minute high-sticking penalty as he got hit into the mouth with that, a small injury. And this will be a great opportunity with the advantage that the Wild have now.
Double minor against the veteran Steve Smith. So the Wild get the first goal of the night. It comes at 15:01 of the period. Hendrickson his second from Sutton and Kuba. An even strength goal. Now they will have their second power play of the evening, and it's a double minor against Steve Smith as he got high with the stick onto the face of Scott Pellerin. So Kuba gets it and gives it back to Sekrish. Freddie Brathwaite, all 5'7" of them shot. Oh my goodness. Brathwaite tried to clear, put it right on the stick of Maxim Sushinsky, and Tommy Albaline is the reason why it's not 2-0 Minnesota. Wild had given up the first goal of 3 of the last 4 games they had played in. They have struck first here tonight at home.
Well, as I said before, that goal is so important, especially in this building. This team has played very well in front of their home fans, and getting the first one electrifies the fans and hopefully the players too.
Jim down, bad angle, leaves it. Gavey looking, shot saved by Brathwaite. Lowry will clear.
Nice shot by Gavey, getting it to the front of the net, and Brathwaite able to get the pad on and then control the puck.
Wild 0 for the last 21 on the power play over the last 4 games, not including tonight. This is the second power play of the evening. They were 0 for 5 with the man advantage against Toronto as the puck goes out of play, goes off a body, and so the faceoff will occur inside the Calgary zone. Wow, what a veteran this man is. Steve Smith, the Edmonton Oilers for so many seasons, 3 cups, 87, 88, and 90. The bruised spinal cord last year, Tom, had a head-on collision with Bobby Dawlis. You remember it right after the first of the year against Tampa Bay. Thought his career was over.
Yeah. Interesting also, he had so many back problems over the years. He actually retired back in 1997 and was reactivated by Calgary a year later in 98, in August of 98. But he had numerous injuries, and that was a little scary for him. But he said, this is my love. This is where I want to be, and his family understands that. And so he's back on there in his 17th year, and he's been a strong player for this team and every other team he's been on.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. His quote was, "It's what I am, it's what I love," and his wife and his family support him. From Glasgow, Scotland, actually, Steve Smith has been around this game a long time. They've got some veterans of the NHL ranks with Steve Smith and Phil Housley. And they've got some guys on the blue line that have a lot of experience. Gavey looks to get it towards Gabrick. Stepping in was Weimer, couldn't clear the zone with it. Now it's Gabrick. Gabrick looking for Dowd. On the far side, boards Aaron Gavey. A drive deflected to the side. Here is Gavey. Gavey, Kuba wants it. To O'Donnell. O'Donnell, near side. Kuba. Shot knocked down nicely by Jeff Shantz.
I tell you, Kuba can shoot that puck. He has really impressed me back in that point position. And Coach Jacques Lemaire using him on the power play. Good movement, very mobile with that puck, moving it up ice. Hit the pipe earlier.
He's gaining confidence, too. Did you see him crack that stick on the ice? Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. It's a sign of a much more confident Philip Kuba than we might have seen a week to 10 days ago. Wild player goes down middle of the ice. Another penalty forthcoming against the Calgary Flames.
Well, this time it's going to be Dave Lowry who's going to get the hooking penalty. As he was trying to get himself in position, just pulled down Sekrish. You watch the play by the defenseman, something right there, and there as Sekrish changes to get into position, watch where the stick goes, the little hand I should say, and just kind of gives him that little hook back, pulls him down, and so he'll be called. They're going to call holding at 18:26 and give them a 2-man advantage.
So now you've got a 2-man advantage for 1 minute and 16 seconds. There's 1 minute and 34 seconds remaining in the first period. And as you well know, partner, what a world of difference it would make if the Wild go into the locker room leading 2-0, not 1-0.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get in a position where they, can get that next goal. This team, if you remember, Calgary was down 3-0, I believe it was, in St. Louis. They came back. They played pretty well, but they couldn't capture it. So the Wild have got to be prepared. Even if they do get another goal, they cannot let up.
So Pellerin and company start the power play unit. Kuba, Sekrish, Dowd, Gabrick, Pellerin. Here is Jim Dowd circling in the neutral zone. Gains the zone, flips it around Wawrinka. Pellerin gets to it first. Near side boards at Sekrich. Sekrich. Kuba. Time, top of the dots. Back to Sekrich. Mishandled momentarily. 5-on-3. Down. Played a season in Calgary. Fakes the shot. A drive high and over the net. Bounces back. Pellerin tried to flip it off the side. Brathwaite will freeze.
That shot coming from the point, you want to get the shot right onto the target. And Clark Wilma standing in front of that, wondering if that shot was going to hit him or not. You watch as he comes back, and you see how wide open he is. And look at the defender right here. You see number 23, Clark Wilma, just standing there with the legs together, so he can at least get a piece of it. He doesn't want to open the legs where you're going to screen the goaltender. The shot just a little bit wide, and as a defenseman, you've got to shoot it wide of that target, because if it hits him and bounces the other way, there may be a chance for a breakaway. Good period for the Wild. They've had 6 shots. They've only given up 4 shots in this first period, and that's what we said before was going to be the strong part of their game, is shutting down the opposition from hopefully a lot of shots and opportunities.
34 seconds left on the 2-man advantage. Dowd gets chased from the dots. Gabrick will take the draw against Corey Stillman. Stillman and Pellerin now, as Gabrick left the dots. Now it's Kuba. To the near side, Sean O'Donnell. Kuba, drive, he scores! A power play goal for Philip Kuba. His first goal of the season. His first goal in the National Hockey League. As a member of the Minnesota Wild.
Well, as I said before, this youngster can shoot the puck, but watch the perfect pass. It comes right into this area here. You're going to see him as it comes in, and look how he fires it. Just right down nice and low to the target as best he can. O'Donnell makes a perfect pass, too. It's important to keep that puck low and nice and flat as best you can, and as he shoots it, you can see Brathwaite going the opposite way. He's coming to the left because the pass is going across ice. He's got to take that momentum to the left, and as he does so, he just slides, leaves the opening, and the big guy puts one away, and the Wild have a 2-0 lead.
Now, we talked about the growing confidence of Philip Kuba, and he finds the back of the net. And Philip Kuba, his first goal as a member of the Minnesota Wild in the NHL, has made the score 2-0.
And a power play goal. That's a confidence builder for them, too. And they're still on the power play.
And they beat the clock, Tom, on the 5-on-3. So the Wild still with the man advantage here. 20 seconds remains. O'Donnell gets it down deep. Behind the net, it's Aaron Gavey. Gavey to Sekrich. Sekrich sends it through. Behind the net, it's Wes Walz. Walz with a little bit of time to work. 7 seconds on the clock. 4 seconds remains. And the horn sounds. But a great first period for the Minnesota Wild. They capture a power play goal, and they have a 2-0 lead.
And the nice thing also, they've given an assist to Marian Gabrick, who picks up a point wearing number 10 again. In case you just joined us, he had no luck with 82. Back with 10, garnishes his first point.
Darby Hendrickson gets his first goal since opening night in the first period, his second of the season. Philip Kuba from O'Donnell and Gabrick on the power play. The Wild 2, the Flames nothing. Back in a moment. After one period of play, just underway here in the second period from the XL Energy Center. And Philip Kuba, a goal and an assist in the first period, as the Wild with just a few ticks left on power play number 4 to begin the second period of play. But they scored on the 5-on-3 in which they possessed for 1 minute and 14 seconds. Hendrickson and Kuba, your goal scorers, 2-0. Your score is Calgary, losers last night, trail here in Minnesota. Iginla, near side boards. Brad Wawrinka will try to get it out. Lowry to the neutral zone. Jeff Shantz. Pellerin. Gabrick wisely gets off the ice. Sushinsky is on. To the near side. Wawrinka has been logging lots of ice time this season for Calgary. Cam Stewart, number 21, picks it up for Minnesota. The captain, Sean O'Donnell. Thrown up and into the neutral zone. Here is Stacey Roos. Roos flips it with one hand behind the net. Brathwaite leaves it for Phil Housley. Housley tried to get the puck to the stick of Jeff Shantz. It rolls by. Benisic touches, and the icing is called. Take a look at the numbers after one period of play, brought to you by our friends at Wells Fargo. The one most enjoyable to see, 1 of 4 on the power play.
Well, that is so important. But the top thing is the score, and that's where Minnesota leads this one by a score of 2-0. Look at the penalty minutes also. Minnesota a little bit higher in that area, but the face-offs right here is where you want to look. When you have that type of an advantage on face-off, you're going to control the puck more. You're going to get more shots because of it.
Now Philip Kuba, a big difference maker in the first period of play. Scored 1 goal last year in his handful of games, 13 to be exact, that he played with the Florida Panthers. So he gets his second NHL goal and his first as a member of the Minnesota Wild. Also helping with the assist, he's the one who hit the point on the Darby Hendrickson wraparound. Walls loses the draw to Mark Savard, and Housley pushes it ahead. Saprikin helps to get it across to Jerome McGinley. Fernandez will freeze.
You watch here, as a defenseman, what you want to do is really control things. We're having a few words by the players on the ice right now. A little frustration perhaps on the part of Calgary. But watch the play here. As it comes, it'll come all across ice here. And all of a sudden, Minnesota's got to regroup here a little bit. You try and get the head man. But you're going to see in this area here, watch in here, as the guy cuts in, you'll see the defenseman right there as he just moves in front and lets the goaltender go to the puck. That little bit of hesitation by Benisic getting in there allows Fernandez to have that split second he needs in order to get the puck.
Now Fernandez has been solid so far in the contest. The Flames with just 5 shots. Oh, there's the biggest save of the night. On the doorstep was a Ginla pad save made by Manny Fernandez. So Savard, Saprikin, and Ginla with a good scoring chance, and a fine save made by that young man, Manny Fernandez. Ahead of the play, offside is called against Aaron Gavey, Antti Laaksonen, and Minnesota.
Well, we talk about speed on the team, and that's exactly what you have to have. You watch the speed right now, trying to get back in front of the net again. And once again, Fernandez has got to be big here. You can't afford to have players standing in the slot area and to stand there unblemished. You've got to get a piece of them somehow, get in front of them, get their stick, move them out of the way.
Well, if you'll remember, as you see the fine numbers that Jerome McGinley has posted already this season, Manny Fernandez was in the net opening night here at the XL Energy Center, played well against the Philadelphia Flyers, and earned the tie that evening. Manny Fernandez missed 6 games with the bad ankle, played the second and third period the other night against the Maple Leafs, and is in the nets with the start tonight. Gabrick on the doorstep, wraparound backhand. Brathwaite was very slow getting from one side to another. Gabrick had him beaten, but couldn't throw it in on the backhand. So back to number 10 is good for Marian Gabrick. As Tom pointed out, he earned an assist on the second goal, changing his number from 82 back to number 10, the number he wore when he scored his 2 goals early this season. Pellerin and Dowd fight for it inside the Flame zone. Squirts around towards the near side. Dave Lowry, the veteran, just pushed up ahead. Sean O'Donnell skates it down for Minnesota. Lowry in on him. Now it's Bure. Bure had it taken right off his stick. Valerie Bure, and through the neutral zone comes Sekrish. Sekrish crosses the line, throws it towards Pellerin. Swept ahead, loose puck picked up by Calgary. Bure will circle in his own end. 35 goals, 75 points in last year's breakout season. Flipped ahead to Cam Stewart. Stewart. Regeer drives him into the boards very hard, and play will go right on. Stewart shot. Oh my goodness! Brathwaite get a stick on that. Cam Stewart might have been playing a little possum there.
I think that's exactly what he was doing. He kind of laid there a few minutes and then just got right up, pulled the stick, and he was in the open to take it.
Good defensive back check by Stacey Roost. Outstanding play by Roost, breaking the 2-on-1 apart on Calgary's possession. Kuba can't get it out. Now it's Lindsay, a drive over the shoulder on the near side post of May Fernandez. Wilm ahead to Hay. Dwayne Hay to the point, and the shot goes wide of the net from Wade Belap. Here is Cam Stewart into the zone, top of the dots, back backhand attempt, wrap around, ran into Stacy Roost, who had busted towards the far side post.
And that's a good play by Stewart also, as he got the puck, had no place to go with it, and just hung on to it until he could get around the net.
Cam Stewart, a great shift, and I don't know if we caught that down in the truck, but he might have had a little possum going there when he was hit hard on the boards and then jumped right back into the play, and somehow Freddie Brathwaite at the last minute stuck the stick right out and robbed him of the goal. Behind the net is Jeff Shantz. Good physical play here in the early minutes of the second period. Loose puck, Ginla wanted it. Albaline keeps it. Shantz, no. Hendrickson trying to clear diligently. A drive, and it's wide of Manny Fernandez. He was way out to take away that angle.
Well, he was. A good shot also coming from Albaline. He took the puck off the boards and tried to get the puck to the net, but they've got quite a bit of jump on their step right now, and I'm referring to the Calgary Flames, trying to get something going here.
Flames controlled the pace in the early going of the first period, and in the Wild were able to come back. Sylvain Blouin, number 36 on the ice surface for the first time. But let's go back and talk about what we saw Cam Stewart do a couple of moments ago. Watch this, Tommy.
Well, he uses his hand right here, but watch the hit he takes right now. He goes into the boards, and he's down. He's down now, but all of a sudden, watch where his hand is. Notice how he pulls the stick, and all of a sudden, he just leaves him standing there. When you make a play like that, Wilm has got to get back into the play. He didn't do that. He allowed Stewart to get back on the inside, and how he missed the goal is beyond me. Very, very close to putting it in.
Now
That little bit of possum play that you talked about is so true. And he's on the bench right now wondering how it didn't go in. He'll want to see that replay later.
Now, it didn't go in because Freddie Brathwaite made a brilliant save.
I'm sure he'll see it, though.
Absolutely.
Because that next goal is so critical. They have a 2-0 lead right now. To get that third goal is a big lift.
I'll tell you what, this kid's fun to watch. You want to talk about a workhorse. He is gritty.
Yeah.
Housley.
And he loves to laugh, too.
He does indeed. Bounce pass up ahead, Wes Walls. 2 goals the last 2 games as we talked about. A Calgary native who played a couple of professional seasons in the National Hockey League with the Calgary Flames. Here is Phil Housley. Housley through the neutral zone up to Savard. Punches it ahead to Bourret. Bourret looked to center to the point. Smith, a big drive deflected wide of Manny Fernandez. Penalty forthcoming, and the Flames are going to have their 3rd power play of the night.
Well, it's going to be a hooking call that is going to go against the Minnesota Wild. And I believe it's going to be O'Donnell Laxton who's going to head over that way. The referee makes a call. This will be another power play opportunity, just the 3rd for Calgary. Minnesota's been successful in the first 2, killing off those penalties. This coming at 5 minutes, 32 seconds of the period. Power play has really sputtered, as we talked about before, for Calgary this year. Last year they're pretty solid on that, but right now they actually rank 28th, I believe, or 24th in the area of the National Hockey League, and that's one area that Coach Don Hay is trying to get on track with this team.
He said, you know, hey, we outwork people 5-on-5. Why don't we outwork them with the man advantage? He couldn't understand why they were 1 for 11 last night against the Blues. Hooking is the call at 5:32. Tom, as you mentioned, it'll go against Antti Laaksonen. Face-off controlled by Calgary. Stillman on the near side. Bourret at the point. Bourret is on his forehand side, so is Housley now. Stillman, this is dangerous. Housley shot knocked aside in front of Manny Fernandez. Housley stepped way in on the play. Phil Housley tries to bump it ahead. And the puck is clear. Corey Stillman has 3 of the 7 power play goals scored this year by the Calgary Flames. Stillman has the puck. He'll wind it around the glass. Savard and Hendrickson bump. Benesic, Walls, Lecision. Lots of time for Housley. A drive, and it's wide. And behind the net, a diving Manny Fernandez is able to hold on. Good recognition of the carom off the backboards.
Well, it was, and Housley took a look, and I think he had to go just a little bit wide because he didn't want that shot to be blocked. And Fernandez able to just jump right in on top of that. There's a look at Housley once again, and as we talk about being the quarterback back on that blue line, especially on this power play, you watch as the puck goes along the boards, and you look for that open man across ice. You could see where all the white jerseys were. Look right here. Notice how he's just a little bit wide, looking to see if perhaps a deflection by Corey Stillman, who's making that little pivot in front of the net, that maybe perhaps he can get a piece of it.
Phil Housley So many goals scored in his illustrious career. So many goals scored in his illustrious career on the power play. How about 119 career power play goals coming into this, his 19th NHL season. Tom, he has more power. All right, I won't.
Than you.
You just kind of ducked when he did. Very nice. Than me. You are right. Bourret kicks it ahead. The long toss by Dante Culpepper. And they are going to call a penalty. They're going to call the minor, not because he gloved the puck. They're going to call a minor delay of game, perhaps, could be the call against Sekrish instead of just the loss of possession.
Well, I know the World Series is over, but in that particular case, he grabbed onto the puck. If we can pick up along the boards, you'll see him.
Now is not the time to be inspired by the interview with Terry Steinbach.
No. Watch right here. Stop it right there, and you can see how he's got his hand up. He's ready to fire that one. A little bit, well, not bad. It's all the way out anyway. He got it out. That was the purpose, unfortunately, and that he also picked up a penalty.
Well, if you glove it, then you get the delay of game.
Yep.
Closing the hand on the puck. That's the difference. If you just would have swatted it out of midair, Tommy would have been just fine.
That's exactly right. But this gives him a two-man advantage. Boy, have we seen a lot of those this year. We never saw as many as we have this season, but with all these penalties being called for the hooking and the obstruction penalties and whatnot, where a lot of teams are getting that two-man advantage, which certainly helps their cause.
So a two-man advantage as Calgary wants to score that all-important next goal. Housley, Bourret. Bourret, Housley. Back to Valerie Bourret. Hits it down low. Bourret, a drive. He's trying to end a 25-game scoreless streak. He missed the net. Valerie Bourret again to Housley. Housley waiting. Shot saved by Manny Fernandez. He holds on. No traffic in front of Manny Fernandez.
Well, and that's the key right there, that he can see that puck coming from the point. Bourret and also Housley back in the point, as we said, moving it back and forth. But look at the center of your screen. You can see he was all by himself there. Simpson standing on the corner, Stillman looking in the corner, looking for that puck to come back to him. That was not the case. No rebound.
Now this can be an ever-growing amount of frustration in the eyes of the Calgary Flames. Last night in the first period, they had a 1:03 5-on-3 against St. Louis, generated not a single shot on goal. Then they had a 1:49 of 5-on-3, managed 6 shots, but were not able to score against the Blues.
And you saw as soon as the clock stopped, they look at the clock to see how much time they have with that two-man advantage.
Housley, Bourret, top of the circles. They're scooting in each time. Housley, a drive deflected to the side of Manny Fernandez. Here's Valerie Bourret. Bourret waiting. He fires off the side of the net. Aginla jumps on it. Behind the net, it's Mark Savard looking for Corey Stillman. To the point it'll come. Bourret gets it intercepted, read perfectly by Sean O'Donnell, the captain, with a great play, and that will kill off the first of the 2 penalties.
And that's the anticipation. He sensed that Bourret was going to put it back into the corner. Just got the stick out in front of him.
Aginla tries to spin. Bourret wanted it. Aginla looking. Bourret, a drive, deflected off the side of the net. Lots of traffic in front of Fernandez that time. Here is Mark Savard. He fires high and wide. And Antti-Laaksonen can't clear the zone. Bourret walking in, waiting, shot. He scores! The drought has ended for the Pocket Rocket. A power play goal. It is 2-1.
Well, that's what they're looking for from this youngster. They're also looking for something to happen on the power play, and it does succeed in this particular case. Bourret takes that puck, and they just kept putting the pressure on the Wild, doing a job of killing off. But look at the open avenue all of a sudden. And watch this little pull right here. You can see Benesic there. He turned with it. He thought the shot was going to come, and all of a sudden that was not the case. You'll see as he moves in here, and all of a sudden watch Benesic pull back here, right here. That allowed that split second for Bourret to pull the puck back into him and then just come in, and you can see the jubilation on his face as he picks up his first goal in a long time to bring his team back into contention, just trailing by 1.
First goal since March 7th of last season. The younger brother of Pavel, second-round pick of the Canadiens back in '92. His first goal of the season, and it will come as a power play goal. So, as we talked about with the Minnesota Wild, finally getting a power play goal, the Calgary fans Watching home in Alberta feel the same way. Their team has finally scored a power play goal. Savard and Iginla will pick up the assists, and it's a new hockey game, 2-1. Lindsay behind the net. Wilm is on the ice. It's kept in by Steve Smith. Sylvain Blouin playing in his first game of this season. Acquired in the waiver draft from the Montreal Canadiens. Jeff Nielsen is a healthy scratch this evening. Brad Bombardier out of the lineup again for Minnesota with that bad groin injury. Up ahead past the stick of Sylvain Blouin. He is a tough cookie, Blouin. Sutton flips it into the zone. Behind the net, Stewart, Weimer. And Cam Stewart regains possession. Sushinsky looking for his first goal in about 10 days. And back-to-back 2-goal games against Tampa Bay and Edmonton, has not scored since. And cleared back to the neutral zone by Jason Weimer. 10:41 remains here. 9 shots by the Flames, 8 by the Wild. Wild lead 2-1. Sekrich moved ahead. Nobody touched it. See who gets there first. Should be the veteran Steve Smith. And the icing is called. The drought is over, and so is the shutout attempt of Manny Fernandez. The Rocket finally gets one.
In St. Paul, the Wild with the 1-goal lead. Right there is a real-life miracle on ice. Robin Regehr, the Flames defenseman, was in a bad car accident in the offseason. He broke both his legs, and many people thought he would never play again. But here he is back skating tonight as the Wild and the Flames are in a 2-1 game. Back upstairs.
Well, and he is a native of Brazil, so a story for many reasons, and a good one certainly for Robin Regehr. 20-year-old, and he is in his second NHL season. Behind the net, Wes Walz. Walz will try to get it out of the zone, and fought for nicely by Aaron Gavey. There is Regehr. Got the nod over Skula, and he is on this Calgary roster. Housley looking for it. Saprikin, and the puck goes out of play. Time to step aside. 9:47 remains, and on a Friday night, that fan has himself a souvenir.
Welcome to figure drawing. Let's begin.
Do you have our supplies?
Oh, yeah.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Get out!
Make it a Bud.
Still available for most Wild home games in a variety of ticket categories. Visit the XL Energy Center box office or call Ticketmaster at 651-989-5151. 2-1 our score, 9:40 on the clock here in the second period of play. Brad Wawrinka played at Northern Michigan in the WCHA early part of the 90s. Behind the net, Jim Dowd will bring it out. Dowd flips it up ahead to Gabrick. Gabrick with speed, comes across the line, fires towards Freddie Brathwaite, and Brathwaite will hold on. Tom, we talked about our Treasure Island Resort and Casino trivia question earlier. We had Phil Housley on live in the pregame show, and he talked about his school's win, South St. Paul's over Edina. Was it his senior year 82 or his junior year 81? It was his junior season, 1981. Trick question, Al Broughton downstairs in the truck. Edina came back and won the 82 title after losing to that man's team in the 81 championship game.
Well, you bring a lot of memories when you talk about Phil Housley being from this area. Also, Bob Johnson, who was from Minneapolis, longtime coach at the Wisconsin, of course, and Colorado College, and with the Calgary Flames.
Pushed over to the near side boards. Stacy Roost. When I visited with Phil Housley before the game, he must have mentioned Doug Woog a half-dozen times, talking about him being like his second father. I mean, the relationship that those two had was huge. A hit behind the net, and Tommy Albaline is going to be slow to get up. The hit that came away from the play.
Well, I think that Stewart took him into the boards. I'm not exactly sure. It was well away from the play, as you mentioned, and it looked like it was going to be something innocent on the far side. But all of a sudden, he is down in a prone position. And you always wonder about those players. You don't see any movement until finally he's starting to get his composure a little bit. But those are tough hits along the boards, and so often when you're not expecting a hit, when the play is some other place. Watch right here. Here's Cam Stewart going in right here, and here's the hit. Oh yeah. And got the shoulder right up into him, and then right against the glass. No place to go, no place to hide. And a little bit of cushion. He is back up. Appears that he is all right as he heads to his bench. And there's a look at the guy who administered that chip.
He talked about Phil Housley a moment ago, Tom, and his return home to the Twin Cities. Especially excited to play right here on his home side of town, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Well, there was a lot of talk of him coming.
It's a great feeling. You know, I haven't played here in 7 years, and to be back to see my family and friends who haven't seen me play in 7 years, and only if they've traveled to see me, I think it's special for them too. I think it's special for the people in Minnesota to have hockey back here in St. Paul.
Now, it is special indeed. He talked about how excited the crowds have been, how it is special for this city to have this sport of hockey back. Another sellout here tonight. A 2-1 lead for the home team. Cam Stewart bumped by Jeff Shantz, and Jason Weimer picks it up in the neutral zone area. Leaves it for Smith. And now stick handling back to the near side. It's Steve Smith. Smith gets it across. Tony Lidman from Finland. And no NHL games played coming into this season. McGinley across the line. Jerome McGinley fires the puck wide of Fernandez. McGinley has to be good this year if the Flames are going to break their 4-year streak of not making the postseason. High glove save, and Manny Fernandez holds on. And let's talk about the situation in Calgary right now, because it is a much different situation, Tom, than it was a year ago. Gone is longtime general manager Al Coates, their player personnel director Nick Polano. Head coach Brian Sutter was fired. Enter in Don Hay. Enter in some old North Star ties with general manager Craig Button. I mean, it's all new in Calgary, Alberta.
Well, it is also. Al McNeil is gone. Jamie Hislop is still there, but he was part of the newer regime. They wanted to keep him. Rich Preston's gone out of there. And when you have that type of turnaround, it's going to take a while for this team to get on track, especially on the ice. We're watching right now, though. They are starting to control this puck quite a bit, especially in their own zone. They seem to have good plays coming out, and the Wild are having some problems getting good possession to get those shots to the net.
Calgary has not won a playoff series since they won the Stanley Cup in 1989. Johnson behind the net, looks to center. Blouin tried to get a shot away. Lecision in front, went off the backside of Sylvain Blouin. He's going to go. First game, first fight. Belak and Sylvain Blouin. The linesman pushed the net out of the way. And Blouin, he's saying, man, I've been practicing a lot. I need to take out a little bit of frustration.
Well, Belak is 6'4", 222 pounds, and he's got some size coming through with a couple of rights there. But Blouin, he's trying to get the helmet off of Blouin right now. And see Blouin coming through the left there, and finally catches one. He loses his helmet, but he comes right back. He's had a lot of energy that's been pent up because has not had a chance to play. And finally, the officials step in between them, and look at the players as they give their round of applause for a guy who has done everything this team has asked him to do. He's come up here after being picked up earlier in the season here, and all of a sudden he gets his chance to play, and he not afraid to go into the physical part of it.
So Sylvain Blouin makes his presence felt. Last 2 years, check this out, in the AHL, Sylvain Blouin 670 penalty minutes in 137 games played. He gets 2 here tonight, more than 2 actually, and this is how it started.
Yeah, watch in front of the net. He's all by himself here, and look at the stick as it comes up, and he just reacted to that. He got the first shot. He comes right back, not afraid to step right into it, and you've got to stand your ground here. They're just going back and forth. Comes back, right back with the stick again. They both get it.
Blouin's going to get an extra 2, Tom. Here we go again.
You know, they both have the sticks coming up here. There's the first punch right there, and then the elbow. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me why that call is made when you have 2 officials watching it, but nonetheless, that is the call, and so he will pick up an extra 2. I don't agree with the call at all.
I saw the ref's arm go up, Tom, after you know, the stick got high from Sylvain Blouin that didn't go up after Wade Belak got the stick high first. So I think they had Blouin before the gloves were dropped. Nonetheless, it results in another power play opportunity for the Calgary Flames, who scored the last time they had the man advantage.
Well, they call for a high stick in the fighting, and you know, what they missed was the initial contact with the stick coming up from the Calgary player to begin with, and that's what it should have been called when Belak had his stick up in front of that. And somebody's got to be watching that. That's the
other high
critical area,
stick, right?
Right.
With the first one. So Housley and company go back with the man advantage. For that man, the former firefighter from Kamloops, British Columbia, Don Hay, and you had a chance to visit with him this morning. You want to talk about one of the good guys in this hockey league. He is definitely on that list.
Yeah, he had a lot of good things to say about Dougie Riseborough, too. I mean, what Doug has brought to this hockey club. He just says he's a very class guy. I learned a lot from him and watching him over the years. And, of course, Doug with the Calgary Flames for a long period of time also, taking him as the captain to the finals one year, and then being one of the assistants there when they won the Stanley Cup.
Phil Housley will bring it out of the zone. Housley still in search of his first Stanley Cup. Across the line comes Bouret. The one void in what has been an absolute Hall of Fame career. And you talked about Dougie Risebrough and his effect. How about the return of that man, Mike Vernon? And he will be a Hall of Fame goaltender. Won the Conn Smythe in '97 with the Detroit Red Wings. That was his second ring. Of course, he was a youngster in '89 on the team that won the Cup in Calgary the last time the Flames won the Stanley Cup.
Well, also interesting, he was chosen by the Wild this year, if you remember, in the expansion draft, and he was with the Wild for almost 3 hours, I think, before he got traded on that same day for the rights to Dan Cavanaugh, who's at BU as a center iceman there.
It was just a layover on the way from Florida, right?
Yeah.
Northwest Airlines through the Twin Cities over to Calgary.
Going from one plane to the next.
Well, he would have, the plane would have been a bit louder if Mike Vernon would have stayed here. Good save, Fernandez. Housley was right there, had a chance at it, but the rebound was cleared. Puck bounces off the skate of Bouret. He couldn't keep it in the zone. Now Antti Laaksonen chases. Stillman will control. 1:03 remains in power play number 5 for the Calgary Flames. O'Donnell. Puck controlled by Iginla. Corey Stillman near side boards. Valerie Bouret. Bouret bounces it back down towards Stillman. He loses it, and Sekrish dumps it out of the zone.
Once again, Minnesota picking up that puck and just firing it down, but Calgary did a good job of shooting the puck in the zone, then having 2 guys on the far boards picking the puck up and starting to control it.
Near side, Jerome Iginla in on the forecheck. Bounced off the puck. Now it's Housley. Sent it towards net. Bouret rebounded tip. Trying to jump on it. Bouret looking for his second of the night. The puck trickles high and over Manny Fernandez. Iginla. Stillman. Stillman, Iginla. Iginla to the point. Bouret on the backhand towards Stillman. Stepping in, Curtis Lecision. Clearing out, Jim Dowd. No. Good play on the blue line by Bouret. He moves across. Low shot. Iginla was looking for a redirection. And the puck finally trickles out of the zone. Power play is over.
Boy, you saw how quickly Bouret got that puck and just squirted right across that blue line.
Jeff Shantz and the Flames trying to catch the Wild on a line change. They don't. And now Housley pestered by Stacey Roost. Housley spins, throws it in. Sutton touches, and the offside is called. 11 shots for the Flames, 8 for the Wild. 5:27 remains in the second.
City's the Wild with the 1-goal lead. Earlier, Mike Goldberg talking about all the changes in the Calgary Flames front office. You know, there was speculation that the future of this franchise could be in doubt. They had a ticket drive in the offseason. They had to get the 15,000 season tickets just to save the team. I was at the NHL draft in Calgary in late June, and there was some doubt about the future of this franchise, but the great citizens of that great oil city rebounded with the ticket drive. Back upstairs.
Well, thank you very much, Eric, and it did not hurt that the fine folks, the corporate folks at Pengrove, paid many millions of dollars to have the Calgary Saddle Dome renamed the Pengrove Saddle Dome. So corporate sponsorship is important. And you know, Tom, the other night we had an interesting conversation with Hall of Fame goaltender Ken Dryden about the state of hockey in its home country, that being your home country in Canada.
Well, he said, you know, when you talk about hockey in Canada especially, you want to make sure that they're healthy in those cities, and it's been very difficult. Part of the reason is because of that, most of the players are paid in American funds. The tickets are still in Canadian dollars, and when you have the rate of exchange that we see here, it makes it very difficult to be able to meet some of those demands. And so they've got to do something here that's going to make it a little more easier for these teams to survive with the salaries that they have to pay today.
Now the collective bargaining agreement is up in a few years. Gary Bettman and the players union are already, you know, trying to get a situation in which there will be competitiveness and there will be healthiness throughout the entire 30 franchises in the National Hockey League.
Well, everybody has to be healthy. That's the thing. Otherwise, if somebody is sick on the team, it affects everybody. And so it's really important they work this thing out so that everybody can stay afloat.
Now, as Ken Dryden said, he feels like the aorta, the heart, is the Canadian teams. Of course, he played in Montreal. He is the president and board of governor leader of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Will Mashot, he's an Ontario native, but he brings up an interesting point. You know, although there's just over 53% Canadians in the league now with the European influx, it is still a game that was born in Canada, played in Minnesota for a lot of years. But it's good when there's health in every single situation in the National Hockey League, which is why Gary Bettman helped hockey to come back here to the Twin Cities.
Well, you got to support each other, and that's what the owners have to do. That's what the players have to do. Everybody's looking out for their best interest, but at some point, everybody has to come together and say, what's healthy for the sport?
Reguer, that shot redirected in front of Manny Fernandez. Wild have been limited in their shots on goal here in the second period, but they still hold on to a 2-1 lead. Bounced in, full line change made by Minnesota. Puck played by Wawrinka. Wawrinka moves it ahead. Sekrish looks for it. Hay pesters him. Front of the net, swept out by Sean O'Donnell. The Calgary Flames have not won a game this NHL season when their opponents have scored first. They are 0-5-1. The Wild held a 2-0 lead after one period on goals by Hendrickson and Kuba. If you joined us late, Valerie Bourret scored a power play goal here in the second for Calgary, trying to tie it up with Weimer throwing it towards net. Sekrish plays it for the Wild. Skates in front of his own net, uses O'Donnell as a screen, then turned it over. Weimer was right there, but O'Donnell's able to safely get it onto the tape of Marian Gaborik. Gaborik circles in his own zone. Dipsy-doos through the neutral zone with a guy who can stay up with him in Valerie Bourret. Lidman towards Valerie Bourret. Now it's Scott Pellerin. Near side boards Gaborik. Gaborik steps across the line. Waiting, looking, shot knocked down nicely by Steve Smith.
Well, he played that perfectly defensively, just getting in front of that shot. Gaborik had a good opportunity to take the puck, started to move on the inside, but Smith just got right in front of him.
Now he has played nearly 800 games in the NHL, and he's probably blocked nearly 800 shots in his NHL career. Housley bumped by Laxinen. Loose puck chased down by Big Andy Sutton. Bounces it neatly off the board, swept over to the near side. Reguer tried to keep it in. Sutton's there for the Wild. Lead pass just past Gavey. Housley pushes it to Stillman. Across the line, he'll come. Drop pass, Saprikin. And the shot will trickle wide of Manny Fernandez. 2:22 on the clock here in the second. Couple of minutes without a whistle here. Wes Walz will chase it down.
Now Walz just wanted to make sure that he was going to clear the zone. A little bit of pressure being put on, and that'll bring the face off back into his own zone.
Tom, check out our Northland Ford game summary. For Philip Kuba, a goal and an assist, both coming in the first period. First Wild goal at home since last Friday night. A power play goal it was. Came on a 5-on-3, broke an 0-for-23 drought with the man advantage for the Wild. Valerie Bourret, how about that? 25-game streak comes to an end without a goal. And if you are scoring at home, redo your roster and change Marian Gaborik back to number 10.
It's paying dividends right now as he picks up a point in this game.
Get the computer out and cut and paste. Done it with Marian a couple of times already this season. And Lubomir Sekrish, who is wearing number 77. And Cam Stewart, who is wearing number 21. And Tony DaCosta, who has to take care of all those sweaters. And Rick Zuber, who has to help him out with it. Stewart, number 21, gets it to Stacey Roost, who, by the way, has worn number 22 all season long. Decision across the line. Roost looking for it. Loose puck in front. Roost all over it. Stewart looking for it. And now it's Phil Housley. Housley at the blue line. O'Donnell keeps it in the zone. Stacey Roos, Regier on him. Housley looks for it near side towards Saprikin. Tries to bump it out. Sushinsky couldn't hold him. Here's Mark Savard. Savard to Housley. Watch out. Dangerous situation behind the back pass. And again, the shot was blocked by O'Donnell. Rebound chance. Oh, my goodness. Saprikin had all kinds of time. Again, can't spin. Oleg Saprikin had all kinds of time on the rebound. Manny Fernandez with a big save. So Saprikin robbed a moment ago of a scoring chance.
I think he had too much time. He had time to think about it, and sometimes that is not good.
Penalty is coming up against Minnesota. See what the referees have this time as Cam Stewart goes down at the neutral ice area.
Well, the referee's looking all over right now trying to find the culprit. But you can bet there will be a call made. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be a high stick.
Yep.
Watch it. Oh, yeah. Yep. And that's what it is. And so that will be Shazinski who picks up the high sticking penalty with under a minute to go in this second period. 19:11 will be the time of that penalty. And I think that Calgary looking to see if there could be possibly a double with an injury. Fernandez has been strong here. Here's the shot coming right in as we talk about. Look at the time right here. Ooh. You think about it. He wanted to go on that stick side. He almost had it. Just Fernandez did a good job of just cutting off that opening that was there. No, it's a 4-minute penalty.
He just kicked out that right pad at the last minute. And Oleg Saprikin, who had 5 goals in the preseason, robbed a moment ago. Now watch Maxim get this stick way up high, and he caught Jason Weimer right in the face.
Yeah, he did.
And he's lucky it didn't draw blood, because that would have brought the double minor. You know what? It did.
Double minor,
It did. It drew it. Yep. You always wonder when it hits the face, when it hits the open area, that's the danger of it. It's happened already once the other way, and now it happens this way with 4 minutes on the board. And I'll tell you what, this period has been dominated by Calgary power play chances. The Wild have had numerous opportunities where they have been forced to play shorthanded.
Well, they have. When you look at the power plays in this period alone, Calgary is going on to their 4th right now, and one of those resulted in a goal for them in this period, so they are getting the chances.
Bure scoring the power play goal at 7:53 of this second period. Tom Savard and Iginla with the assists. 43.4 on the clock as the Flames trail 2-1, and they will have plenty of time for which to work with the man advantage to end this period and to begin the third period. Dowd, Weimer behind the net. Savard trying to chase down the loose puck. Curtis Lestigian will work it. Pellerin is on the near side. Watch out for Jeff Shantz. Leaves it for Jason Weimer. Weimer to Bure. Bure back to Weimer. Weimer faked the pass behind the net. Gives it to Bure again. To the point, it's Housley. Mishandled, and it dumps into the neutral zone. So Calgary has to regroup. 10 seconds left in the period. Shantz across the line. It's trying to flip it towards Fernandez. Weimer busts in, gets it to the point, and the horn will sound. And the second period has come to a close, but 3 minutes and 12 seconds remain in a power play opportunity to begin the third period for Valerie Bure and the Calgary Flames.
Well, the one thing the Wild have to do is they have got to stay out of the penalty box. That is going to hurt them tremendously in this third period. They've got to regroup here a little bit, kill off this remaining time on the clock, and then go from there.
Wild 2, Flames 1. Phil Housley will be Eric Nelson's guest when we return here on MSC.
Hello? Yo, who's that? Yo, it's Dick.
True.
Hello? Yo, it's T.
True. They've got to kill off this penalty early on here with 3 minutes to go in this beginning of the third period and go from there, but they've got to pick it up and they've got to stay out of that penalty box.
Tom, fresh ice after the end of the second period. That makes the ice faster for the power play unit, but also gives the penalty killers of the opposing team time to rest in between the periods. Is there an advantage either way, as the offsides will be called? Is there Is there an advantage either way for either team when a penalty of this duration expires over the end of a period?
No, I don't think. I think what happens is both teams are able to get their players rested they're trying to do, and then they will get the players on the ice that are necessary. Has it been going into the next some waning moments of the next period, the previous period? Then possibly. But you want to get your best players on the ice, and having that intermission certainly helps.
All right, so that is the situation here as Housley lines up way near the near side boards for a face-off win. Bourret will take it. He'll look. He'll pull it right back to Phil Housley. Now Housley controls in the neutral zone. Good lead pass. But Corey Stillman had it poked away by Sean O'Donnell. And the Wild are able to flip it back into the neutral zone. Walls. Savard gets it past Sean O'Donnell. Jerome McGinley for Calgary. Works it around the backside. Corey Stillman on the backhand. Phil Housley has it. Housley to Bourret. Bourret shot towards net, gloved easily by Manny Fernandez. Now, one man we will not see playing here in the third period for the Calgary Flames is veteran defenseman Tommy Albaline, who on this play suffered a concussion potentially and is done for the night.
Well, this was a pretty good hit to come in here. It wasn't a vicious hit, but it was one that took the shoulder right into the upper area, the head area, I believe, and he may have hit the glass here with his helmet at the same time, so that will take him out with a slight concussion. That check thrown by Cam Stewart, who will always play a physical game.
So Albaline would be a man who could come on a second power play unit with some offensive skills, but he won't in this situation. He'll be just fine, but he is done for the night as Housley and Bourret will have to chase back. The always pesky Cam Stewart jumps on in a penalty killing role.
Interesting when you look at the time elapses of each of the players on the ice. Housley has been on for the most for Calgary, over 16 minutes. And here's a guy who's in his 19th year.
Saprikin, Jason Weimer, Benesic in on him. Lecision lost it, picked up by Oleg Saprikin, who was robbed by Manny Fernandez in that second period on the toe save. Jeff Shantz. Lecision flips it back over to the near side. There's Stewart trying to get to it before Housley. Housley bumps it off the pads, gets it over to Weimer. Now back to Phil Housley, just fired towards net. Only man there was Curtis Lecision, swept aside. Weimer looking, shot, and missing the net was Shantz. Shantz with a great chance there. Walking in on the power play unit. Bourret fires. Low kick save by Manny Fernandez. That left pad came out of nowhere. Stewart spins and flips it into the neutral zone. 1:28 left in the double minor, and Manny Fernandez solid once again in this penalty killing effort. Bourret works it through center, crosses the line, whips it around. Near side boards, now far side boards again. Savard bumped by O'Donnell. O'Donnell using his big body to bounce it up and over the stick to Valerie Bourret. So far so good for Minnesota on the penalty kill. Housley walks it, sends it in. Around the other side, Iginla, same play. Iginla looking to center, gets it, Stillman shot. Oh, he had the net open on the glove side of Manny Fernandez, and he missed. Now it's Bourret. Valerie Bourret over to Phil Housley. Housley to Iginla. A drive, a save, and no rebound left by Manny Fernandez.
Well, once again, the Calgary Flames doing a good job of moving the puck around in the offensive zone with that man advantage, but they have not been able to dent the twine. Manny Fernandez has stood tall between the pipes with this team. We saw on the point, moving the puck in. And you watch right here. Let's stop it right here. And you'll see this area here. This becomes a dangerous area. The puck is not dangerous when it's here. Only when it gets back into the center ice area. And he makes the shot right here. Look at right here. Stillman coming in, taking the shot, trying to get to the far side. Can't do so. Here's the last chance right here. Right across ice once again. And the quick snapshot. And look at here. Right in the center. Good and square with as Iginla takes a shot is Manny Fernandez. Is able to get across ice and square up his body to the puck.
Now, Calgary, as I mentioned, has had their troubles with the power play this year. 3 of 33 their last 5 games played. 1 of 6 so far tonight. This being their 7th power play, which has not yet concluded. You don't want to assume anything that they won't score here and end up jinxing the home team. 25 seconds left on what has been 4 minutes of power play opportunity.
You know, this team is kind of interesting also. The players all chipped in and they bought a private box, one of the suites in their home arena, and it's for underprivileged children. And they each put in about $3,000 to buy 24 tickets for each of the games and bring some of the kids in. So says a lot about this team. Again, also one of those players that says, I will give $1,000 for every goal that I score this year. And he has really stepped up. He has 4 goals already this year. And to go for one of their Calgary programs for the kids who want to play this sport.
Now, when he played in the Western Hockey League at Kamloops, way back when, it would have cost Jerome McGinley $63,000 that year. But then again, he was in the Western Hockey League, and he probably couldn't have afforded it.
$55 a week or something to that effect.
At the end of the year, he would have been down about $10,000. Probably a lot more than that.
Yes, I think so.
Owsley fires it in. Here is Jerome McGinley. He's a nice young man. But his hockey team is disappointed right now. They've lost their last 3 games. They are 3-6-1 on the season. And with a win tonight, Minnesota would tie them in the standings in the Northwest Division. Wild have killed off the power play as Savard fires it in. Fernandez wisely will hold on. 5-on-5 hockey now, 16:39 remaining in regulation.
Fernandez is taking a look to see whether anyone was going to be in the area where he could pick up that puck, and could not give it up to one of his own teammates, so just hung on to it. And very wisely, the faceoff will come to his right.
Well, if you are patterning yourself after another expansion franchise, you might want to do it after what the Ottawa Senators have been able to accomplish. Now, you don't want to win the few number of games that they did in the first season, but they remain unbeaten here in 2000-2001. 6-0-3 their record. They lead the Northeast Division. And of course, the leaders in the Northwest, the Colorado Avalanche, have yet to lose a hockey game either this season. We will play the Colorado Avalanche at the new barn, the Pepsi Center in Denver, in just about a week's time. We'll be back with you on election night. In fact, that's Tuesday, November 7th from the Mile High City as the Wild take on Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and the Colorado Avalanche. Coverage begins with the pregame report at 7:30 Central. Don't miss Fox Sports Net coverage of the Minnesota Wild on MSC. KMSP Channel 9 will have this Sunday's game against Chicago, and then we will have the Calgary game a week from Sunday in the new Pengrowth Saddledome, which isn't a new building, just a new name, and not a new thing tonight is to see Manny Fernandez play very solidly between the pipes.
Well, they had to right there. Once again, the faceoff coming back to Rhaegar, who takes the shot from the left point position. You watch right here, as he is in this area right here, all of a sudden the puck is going to come back to him where he can take it, and Rhaegar will just, as he moves in towards the puck, will get in his line into a place where he can get a free shot to the net. And watch the goaltender also. You can see Fernandez kind of looking up a little bit over the shoulder of everybody, trying to figure out where the shot was coming from. As soon as he saw it, he put himself right in position where he thought the shot would be.
Wild have been very good in the face-off circles here tonight. Jim Dowd, 10 wins, 5 losses through 2 periods, 66% on the draw. He will get tossed, and Scott Pellerin will step into the face-off circle. Pelly's won 1 and lost 1. Dowd has been very good. 62% of the face-offs after 2 periods belong to Minnesota. This one belongs to Calgary. Bure gets it, shot deflected before it reached Fernandez. Weimer had an opportunity from the top of the circles. Kuba in on his man, Jeff Shantz. Now it's Valerie Bure stepping in, spinning, looking, fires towards net. Puck trickled through the crease, and Dowd will pick it up. Jim Dowd winds it around. Gabrick has to get a stick on it. He does, and this time sends it too far for Scott Pellerin. Pellerin on Wawrinka. Wawrinka bumps Scott Pellerin. Marian Gabrick leaves it back, and Valerie Bure spins. Kept in by Dowd and pushed back into the neutral zone. O'Donnell now flips it into the zone. Rhaegar, and now O'Donnell. Can't get a hold of it. Wilm crosses into the offensive zone for Calgary, and now it's played by O'Donnell. Up to Darby Hendrickson. Hendrickson to Sylvain Blouin. Blouin, the shot. It's wide of the net. Johnson will try to give chase. And now Wilm on the far side, pushed down by Curtis Lecision. Blouin playing physically. First game of the year, first fight of the year earlier in our contest. Now coming out of the zone is Bill Lindsay. Lindsay leaves it for Steve Smith. Smith falls on the drive towards Manny Fernandez, and the crowd will react and get a couple of laughs at the expense of one of the finest players in NHL history, solid defenseman Steve Smith. Manny's been good. Steve Smith is a guy who you love to have wearing the C on your hockey team.
Well, sometimes that paint jumps out on you. You lose your balance just momentarily there as he steps towards the line. Shot doesn't even go where he wants it to go. But I'm sure that's happened before and will happen again. That's no big deal until they look at tomorrow when the players review the tapes. They'll say, what happened there, Mr. Smith?
It'll be less of a deal if Calgary comes back to win. 30-21 face-offs. Advantage Minnesota. This is an important draw to the stick side, the right side of Manny Fernandez. West Walls, Laxinen trying to control. Kept in the zone, Jerome McGinley. Savard looking for it. Swept out of midair, touched first by a Calgary player, so the linesman wave it off. But an offside called against Calgary. Belak pushed the puck back into the Minnesota zone too quickly. Now, Jacques Lemaire, Mike Ramsey, Mario Tremblay, a lot of experience behind the bench, especially with head coaches in Mario Tremblay a couple of seasons in Montreal and that of Jacques Lemaire. And when you talk about experience and success, you add Guy Lapointe to the equation, and Minnesota, with their 26 seasons of experience, have many, many veterans of this game and many, many Stanley Cups.
Well, I think it's more than 26 seasons, 26 Stanley Cups that they have.
Absolutely.
And that's what is one of the things that this team has really brought to the forefront. Doug Riseborough doing a good job of bringing that winning attitude to the Wild.
Well, 11 for Jacques and 6 for Guy Lapointe, and a handful for Mario Tremblay, all within the same organization, the Montreal Canadiens. Rammer never got one. He has a gold medal. He has a national championship. He's got a lot of years in the books. And as Phil Housley said, hey, if for some reason I don't get one when I retire, maybe my 19 or 20 or 21 NHL seasons will have to serve as my version of the cup. That's a pretty good way to make a living.
Absolutely.
Smith, Wawrinka. Wawrinka back over towards the side of Steve Smith. Now it is Savard. And taken and sent into the zone by Ladislav Benisic. Brad Wawrinka behind the net. And the crowd starting to vocalize here in the third period. 13:50 on the clock. Benisic looks to get it ahead. Bourret. Now Benisic bounces over a stick. Wawrinka looking for it. Cam Stewart wanted it. Maxim Sushinsky quickly towards it. And he's bumped off the play by Reguer. Out of the zone comes Corey Stillman. Crossing the line, dragged down. Play will go right on. Wild try to come back the other way. It's Stewart who goes flying to the ice surface. And play will continue to go right on.
Well, we're getting some hits right now, and also in the center ice area. These players getting a little frustrated, perhaps, on the part of Calgary. They're trying to get something going here. They've controlled the puck quite a bit, but they cannot get the puck in behind Fernandez.
Newly acquired free agent Dave Lowry trying to fight for it. He'll come in on the near side, looks for Andy Sutton, bumps him into the boards. Lowry last year was in San Jose, had some shoulder and back problems. He's healthy, he's in the lineup, and he and the Flames are trying to fight back from a 1-goal deficit. 2-1 Minnesota leads, 13 remains.
Well, so far tonight, Manny Fernandez has been nearly perfect in goal. He has not started since October 11th. That was the home opener here at the X against Philadelphia. Manny, of course, had the ankle injury. Jamie McLennan started 7 straight games after Fernandez went down, but he is looking very good tonight. He's a big Formula One racing fan, and right now he's got the Wild perhaps racing to their second win. Back upstairs.
Well, he very well might have that also. You look at his record against Calgary too, Mike, and he has 1-1-1 against Calgary over the years, over 1.6 goals against average. So he has not played him a lot of times, but when he has played, he's played very strongly.
Manny Fernandez, big Formula One fan. You asked him one time, you know Formula One? Yeah. He says, oh yeah, I know it.
Says he knows a lot about it.
You know a lot about it. What do you want to know? What are you asking? There was one. Pool, pond would be good. Across the line comes Wilm. Saved by Fernandez. You can just tell certain nights goalies are really seeing the puck well, and Manny's seeing everything in, especially up in the hand area if it's the blocker or the glove. O'Donnell gets it ahead to Stewart. Stewart dumps it into the zone. 12:07 on the clock. Wild limited to 9 shots on goal, but the most important numbers are 2-1. Minnesota leads on goals by Darby Hendrickson and Philip Kuba. A power play goal late in the first period. Valerie Bourret scored in the second for the Calgary Flames. On the second half of a back-and-back. And the puck goes back into the stand. Single game tickets are still available for most Wild home games in a variety of ticket categories. Visit the XL Energy Center box office or call Ticketmaster at 651-989-5151. Sunday should be a festive atmosphere. I have a feeling some of the fans are going to break out some of their old North Star jerseys, maybe some of their Hawkhead jerseys if they were closet Blackhawk fans during the good old days.
I think you're absolutely right. The one thing the Wild have to be concerned in looking at this game, though, is the fact that they're not getting any shots. They've had no shots in the second period. We played over 8 minutes. They've got to do something to get some offense. They're getting the puck over the line. They're dumping it in. They're dumping in. And that's allowing Calgary to pick it up and come right back up ice again. Calgary getting some good shots, 6 shots in this period. But Minnesota's got to respond offensively.
So, Tom, that's 2 shots in nearly 30 minutes of
yes.
Lowry, Lecision, Housley. Up towards Iginla. He leaves it. Across the line comes Savard. Savard flips it. It goes off the glove of Manny Fernandez. Well wide of the net. Marion Gaborik. Played within his own zone. Gaborik trying to work it out. Flips it where no one is, which is a good move there. You just want to get it out to center.
Seems like the Wild are a little hesitant at making those plays, and as a result, they're allowing the Flames right now to jump into those openings and pick up those loose pucks. The races are being won by Calgary.
Puck to the near side. Ladislav Benesic. Benesic steps across the line, dumps it to the side of Freddie Brathwaite. Bure over skates. Now the puck taken up through center. Bill Lindsay had it for just a second, but the neutral zone clogged up by Minnesota. Corey Stillman controls. Gets it back to Smith. Smith to Housley. Nearly 40 years of experience in the tandem on the blue line right here with Smith and Housley back there. Laxinen with a hit and an extra push on Corey Stillman. Dumped in by Bure. Behind the net is Manny Fernandez. Trickles over his stick. Sekrich gets it up. And cleared out nicely by Laxinen. Got the puck out of his skates. Gets it towards West Walls. He's dragged down. And play will go right on. Walking in. Shot fanned upon. This time the penalty will be called as Antti Laxinen continues to have a good jump. And the Wild will see their first power play in quite a number of minutes.
Well, that hooking call didn't come the first time, but it came in the second time. And Laxinen, as you mentioned, with that quick jump, was able to get to the net. But watch right here. This was not called. And that's going to be Walls who tries to break it in. There's a little bit of hook with the stick, pulls him down. That was let go. But watch all of a sudden as the youngster comes in, tries to get the shot away, hooked it to the last second. You could see Steve Smith pushing that stick out also, trying to get a deflection there. The shot didn't come as was expected, and so it will be the Wild with a man advantage.
Tommy, let's watch this first one, the one that wasn't called again, and watch Smith and Bure. Watch them react after they drag down Walls. Look at this. This is great. You got 1, you got 2, and watch. Simultaneous, both their hands. Oh!
Was it?
No, didn't do anything. Great look from our guys down in tape. Great job done by the camera guys. Thank you, guys. Good stuff. Corey Stillman does get called for hooking at 9:35. This one could be a difference maker. Power play opportunity for Minnesota. Stacey Roos, Cam Stewart. O'Donnell gets it over. Stacey Roos, Stewart, Sushinsky up front. Kuba and O'Donnell on the point. Shot towards net. Trickles to the side. Brathwaite leaves it for Jason Weimer. He's got room. Headmans the puck. Tony Lidman across the line. Gloved by Manny Fernandez. And because Weimer was right in his face, he's forced to hold on and take a face-off in his own zone.
And good shot by Lidman also coming right over the blue line. You want to get the shot to the net, hoping to sometimes surprise the goaltender. Lidman, one of those guys who's got the strong skating, good composure ability, good puck skills, good defensive player. That's why he's on the power play. This youngster out of Finland, just a rookie, born back in 1977, but some pretty good size.
Last 8 years he played in his home country of Finland. Yes, indeed. Lowry will take the face-off against Jim Dowd. Curtis Lecision controls. 1:34 on the penalty. First power play of this third period. Sekrich across the red line. Sends it in. Smith. Gaborik. Gaborik pushed by Lidman, the man we talked about a moment ago. Dowd bumps it to Lecision. Curtis Lecision back to Jim Dowd. Dowd. Lecision. Lecision. Sekrich in front. Pellerin couldn't get the shot away. Here is Dowd. Dowd to Gaborik. Gaborik Dowd. Decision. Waiting for it. Has it. Top of the shot. And it's bounced away off a skate. Pellerin now. Keeps it in at the blue line. Gabrick, Pellerin. Pellerin walking shot. Rebound. Lidman. Pushed into the pads of Pellerin. Kept in the zone. 43 seconds on the man advantage. Working in front. Gabrick. Swept aside by Freddie Brathwaite. Smith is there. And the puck is sent out of the Calgary zone. Good pressure by the Wild here with the man advantage. 30 seconds left in this power play. Curtis Decision, Stacey Roos, Philip Kuba. Across the line, the Wild will come. Sushinsky and Stewart will bust in. Reguer bounces it past Sushinsky. And Warenka flies it off the glass.
Sushinsky thought he had it going along the boards there, just held his body close to it, but it came the opposite way.
8:31 remaining in the third. 6 seconds on the power play. Kuba across the line, sent in again. Roost will try to be the first man in. Brathwaite plays behind the net. Kicked by O'Donnell. Watch out for Calgary. Corey Stillman. And a two-line pass is called against the Calgary Flames. The Wild get a break. 8:18 remains. Wild lead by 1. 8:18 remains in the third. Time now to check out what's on tap. Brought to you by Bud Light. Chance to see a team who may very well win the Stanley Cup this year. They're my early pick, by the way. The Colorado Avalanche. And the Minnesota Wild coverage begins at 7:30. Not that I'm going way out on a limb, picking the Colorado Avalanche.
Nice of you to pick them.
Absolutely. Wow, Mike.
You really dug deep in that.
You know your hockey, don't you? In fact, I think New Jersey's going to win it last year. Here's Blu-ray. And you know what? Darn if the year before it won't be the Dallas Stars. Chance to the point. Laxton got back. Here comes Wes Walz. Ahead of the play is Gavey. Walz steps in. Gavey shot. He scores! Aaron Gavey on a beautiful feed from Wes Walz. It's 3-1 Minnesota.
And what a strong defensive play it was, because Calgary had the puck going the opposite way. We talk about turnovers. We talk about what happens. Watch right here. Stop it there, and you'll see all of a sudden you'll see him as he starts to make the turn, and he's going to drop the puck back here. But the defensive play right here creates the play. And as he breaks up ice, you watch the little give and go, and you've got two guys coming in all by themselves. A perfect pass across to Gavey from Walz. It's in the net, a 2-goal lead. That goal coming with 7:45 to go in the period.
First goal of the season, first point of the season, and Wes Walz very unselfish on that play, breaking down with speed. Gavey busting to the net. And two guys who both spent 2 seasons each in a Calgary uniform combine for what could be the backbreaker for a Calgary comeback here in Minnesota. 3-1 Wild. Gavey from Walz at 12:15 of the third period.
Well, that will give them a lot more jump on their step right now, too, by having the 2-goal lead.
Off the side of the net comes Stacey Roos. Looking for Gabrick. Now it's Scott Pellerin to the point, and Andy Sutton. Sutton shot wide of the net. And off the side again. And down goes Roost. And things are starting to go Minnesota's way as they are going to have the man advantage.
You know, the real credit here has to come as you look at the holding call being administered. It's going to go against Calgary. But the real credit here has to go to Andy Laxton, because he's got great speed. And when he was able to come back into his own zone and break that whole thing up, all of a sudden it brings the play right back up ice again. But watch the two guys coming here together. And it looks like the shot's going to be taken by Wes Walz. Not the case. All of a sudden he makes a perfect pass across. Two guys all by themselves and make sure it's going to work. But that penalty is going to be a holding call. It's going to go against Smith. Watch in front of the net. Just wraps him around right here. Didn't look pretty innocent at that point until all of a sudden the puck started to come out in front, and he just hauls his man down. That is a very costly penalty because it puts them at a very big disadvantage with just 6:56 to go in the third period, and they're trailing by 2.
Little atmosphere here at the XL Energy Center. Looking for franchise victory number 2 right here on home ice. Wes Walz, Aaron Gavey, former Flames combining on the goal, and Walz with 2 goals in the last 2 games and a helper here tonight has been playing very well. And he told our own Eric Nelson, he said, yes, absolutely, I circled this date on the calendar a few months back when I knew I was going to play here in Minnesota, and I knew a team that didn't keep me around as long as I wanted them to was going to come into our new house. Kuba had 2 points in the first period, gets it over to O'Donnell. 6:38 on the clock. And the Wild once again with a 2-goal lead. Calgary, as I mentioned earlier, has not won a game this year when their opponents have scored first. They are 0-5-1 in those 6 contests. Stewart with a buzz into Wawrinka. Now it's O'Donnell. Turned over, though. Corey Stillman will bring it. He's got Wawrinka as a trailer. Stillman waits. He's looking. Gets it across. Sushinsky back in the play. 3-on-1. Nope, O'Donnell's going to come off. Sushinsky.
He was tired.
Roost himself around, looking, waiting. Stick handling. Pestered by Wawrinka. Pass was telegraphed. Lowry read it and flips it down.
Well, everybody wanted O'Donnell to move up ice, but he had just finished a long shift, and I think he was tired. Better suited him to get to the box to get some fresh players on the ice.
Always make the line change when your team has possession of the puck. Lidman over to the near side boards and swept out of the zone. 44 seconds left in the power play. As importantly, this helps kill 2 more minutes of the clock. The Wild hopes of their second win. Sekrish across to Pellerin. Pellerin moves it ahead. Jim Dowd to Lecision. Lecision back to Dowd. The shot. It's wide of the net. Gabrick. Played towards Pellerin. To Gabrick. Gabrick spins. Housley on him. Pellerin loose puck looking towards Sekrish. Dowd can't spin and get a shot away. Here's Bourret. He'll be chased down by Lecision. Bourret a drive. It's wide of Fernandez. Look how far out Manny Fernandez came once again to cut down the angle of Valerie Bourret. He had nowhere to shoot the top.
No, absolutely nothing. Fernandez had to be about 6 feet from his crease area, and that takes away any opening that the shooter could have.
Lidman. Laxinen in on the forecheck. 4:45 on the clock. And now Iginla brings it through the neutral zone. Jerome Iginla with speed. Taken off the puck by Benesic. Good play defensively. Aaron Gavey. Benesic still helping out.
Benesic has logged a lot of ice time in this game.
One of the better defensive defensemen offside, Savard. One of the better defensive defensemen on this Wild team. You like hits? How about this one? Stillman and Stewart meet in the middle. Remains in the 3rd period. The Minnesota Wild lead the Calgary Flames 3-1. Fox Sports Net coverage of the Wild right here on MSC. Gophers hockey tomorrow on MSC. And if you need more hockey, Channel 9 Sunday night, KMSP, the Wild and the Chicago Blackhawks. Tom and I will be here at the XL Energy Center. We face it off at 7 o'clock. Down goes Laxinen. Play goes on. Here's Aaron Gavey. And he's bounced off the puck by Housley.
Kind of a comedy of errors there.
Bodies colliding. Savard, a shot, a save, and a good one by Manny Fernandez.
Boy, he's nice and square in that puck today.
Gives a push in front of the net to Saprikin, and the shot trickles wide. Aaron Gavey. Nice to see Aaron Gavey get his first point of the season. He's been working his tail off both ends of the ice, and as Wes Walz said before the game, it's nice when you're working hard and you get rewarded for it. Laxinen behind the net, Saprikin. Savard look to center to Iginla. And now it's Laxinen. Got to clear it out there.
That's about the 4th time they've had the puck, but they've not cleared that zone, and that's critical, especially at this stage in the game.
Laxinen just showed a little frustration going into the bench. He knows it as well as anybody. Angry with himself.
Yep.
Ramsey pats him on the shoulder, and everything's going to be okay with that guy. He's working his tail off again tonight. Darby Hendrickson able to keep it in at the blue line. Sylvain Blouin playing in his first game of the season. An overhead look at Blouin as he goes down. And Kuba has it. Philip Kuba with a goal and an assist in the contest. Hendrickson from his belly sweeps it back into the Calgary zone under 3 minutes on the clock. 13 shots, but 3 goals. From a bad angle to the side of Manny Fernandez. Now it is O'Donnell. He's bumped. Cam Stewart. Lidman. A drive. A save. And no rebound left. One more time by the very solid Manny Fernandez.
How many rebounds have you seen Fernie leave in this game tonight? Hardly any. I mean, he just is able, one of those guys, to take that shot into the midsection, not drop it. Here's a shot coming. Watch his position once again. Just grabs right onto it. Fernandez making sure it's in the right place. 2:39 on the clock. Shots right now by the Flames 24 and by the Wild 13 in this contest, but they have been successful. 3 of those 13 shots have gone into the net. Pretty good shooting percentage.
Face off to be taken by Corey Stillman. Still 2:39 on the clock. Calgary scored a late goal last night against St. Louis, Tom, to pull to within 1, and then just got robbed of a chance with about 10 seconds left with Mike Vernon pulled from the net. So Wild have to keep their eyes wide open and make sure they don't make any mistakes in this situation.
Well, they can, and make sure they've got at least one guy back to play defensively right now. They don't want to give any breath into this team by giving up that 1 goal, because if they do, you know they'll come in waves to get to that next goal.
Stillman takes the long pass into the Wild zone. Pellerin bumps him. Benesic, Bure trying to work it. Played by Lowry, back to Valeri Bure. Bure waiting, cycling being done by the Flames. It's Corey Stillman. Just throws it into the side of Manny Fernandez. Ladislav Benesic was there. Under 2 minutes on the clock now, and the Wild get it back to center. Smith will keep it and moves it up ahead. Saprikin bumped in the neutral zone by Stacey Roos. Now Housley, little dipsy-do, trying to lead the puck up ahead. Chased down by Jerome McGinley. There goes Freddie Brathwaite with 90 seconds remaining. He's out of the net. Savard throws it at Fernandez. 1 save, 2 save, 3 saves, 4 saves. How about 5? What a great flurry from Manny Fernandez, who gets frustrated, takes a swing at a Calgary player, and Calgary has scored. No. Mick Magoo has waved the goal off, but Manny Fernandez has definitely picked up a penalty.
Well, I think he has. He lost his stick in the melee in front of the net, but he made about 5 saves, as you call it, Mike, in a row. And he got frustrated and just pushed a player, and that's when Magoo was standing right there, had made the call. As you can see, there is no light to signify a goal, and so the referee very quickly waving that off. But on the play, I believe there will be a power play for the Calgary Flames. 1:11 to go in the 3rd period. You watch here, watch in front of the net. This is where everything is happening. And you see the referee already has signaled a goal, but look at the traffic in front. And no one can seem to get in a position. Everyone's got sticks up. Everyone's signaling a goal from the Calgary side. But this youngster in the bottom of the pile with the big mask on.
He's got a little Billy Smith in him, doesn't he?
That's good, though. That's what you want. You don't want to allow those players to stand there and make them feel comfortable. It's not their home.
Absolutely. Watch. Now watch.
Don't stand here unless you're invited.
Now watch Manny as the play continues. Now the puck goes away from our camera view, but that's where he pushed a couple of black jersey players out of the way.
Well, he had no stick either. He's got to get him out of there, what he's trying to do.
So here's the situation. The Wild are going to be shorthanded as Mick Magoo's going to check and see what the situation with the puck is. He's on the phone to the replay booth upstairs. Right now the score holds 3-1. Roughing is going to be the call against Fernandez. So the Flames are going to, in all essence, Tom, have 2 more attackers on the ice, because when they gain possession, Freddie Brathwaite's going to move his way back to the bench.
Well, absolutely. The one thing that this allows Minnesota to do now is to shoot the puck all the way down the ice, try to kill off that clock. Just 71 seconds remaining in the time clock right now. It's confirmed that it is not a goal. After review up here, Ron Foyt, former NHL linesman, up here on the replay, watching it.
Mick Magoo, one of the few helmetless referees in the game here in the 21st century. And with the face-off occurring in the Wild zone, the net is empty with Freddie Brathwaite on the bench.
Well, as you said before, Mike, last night 1 for 11 on the power play for the Flames. Tonight they're 1 for 7. I have them listed, going on their 8th power play.
Now, last night they scored late and then had a chance with the extra attacker, but at that point they only trailed by 1 goal, 4-3 to the St. Louis Blues. Freddie Brathwaite hasn't been tested a lot, but he has had a couple of decent saves.
And this is big for Minnesota right now, because to gather 2 points brings them in tie with Calgary in the standings. It kind of elevates them up a little bit more and sets the standard and the tone for the next game they play against each other.
Especially coming off the disappointment that they took 2 nights ago in Toronto, manhandled by the Maple Leafs 6-1. What a way to rebound from that. The fans are on their feet. 71 seconds on the clock. Savard wins the faceoff. Housley, Dowd was there. Tried to go towards the open net. Dowd still looking for it. Back on the play, Jerome McGinley. 2 extra attackers with the goal empty for Calgary. O'Donnell flips it high. It will roll down. Remember, there's no icing in this situation because of the man advantage for Calgary. It's almost a benefit in this situation, if there's ever a benefit, to having a penalty called against your team.
Well, it gives you that advantage to shoot it down, but at the same time, it also gives your opponents that extra man, which can be a critical part of scoring goals.
In front, Calgary. Bourret busting. Pellerin has a chance. Flips it. Housley kept it in. Nice play. Good save, Fernandez. Still loose in puck. Where's the puck? It's inside Manny Fernandez's pass. Oh, my. How good has he been tonight?
29 shots have come his way. He stopped 28 of them.
And with that, my partner, it's time for our Dodge player who made the difference, Manny Fernandez. His best game in a Minnesota Wild uniform.
Well, he played that first night against Philadelphia in opening this building, played very well in that 3-3 tie against Philadelphia, and of course in this game, coming back from the injury, played very well in Toronto the last 2 periods. We said before, gave up 2 goals, both deflection off his own players, but he came into it. The injury does not seem to have hampered him in any way, and the one thing, he's a competitor. You watch him out here doing the physical part of things, taking the guys out in front of him, using his stick, using his glove, whatever it takes. All he wants to do is get a victory.
Now he's very, very close to earning one here. 23.6 seconds on the clock. Bob Nagley Jr., the chairman of the Minnesota Wild, among the many in attendance, 18,000 plus. Little La Bamba. And how about Philip Kuba? Honorable mention for the player who made the difference tonight with a goal and an assist, his first goal of the season, and it was a very important power play goal which ended up giving the Wild a 2-0 lead after the first period. So Hendrickson, Kuba, and Aaron Gavey, Bourret for Calgary, and Manny Fernandez, an absolute wall between the pipes.
Boy, he has been, and that's a big boost for this team as they get ready for their next game. After this one, they get at least a day off to enjoy what is going to be a victory, in my opinion.
Great face-off win. Absolutely. Saprikin, great face-off win, Tom. Westwall's lost some lumber with it, but it doesn't matter. Hendrickson in a foot race with Housley. To a Minnesota zone go to the ice. Bourret through center. Long drive. Fernandez sweeps it aside. And the Minnesota Wild have won here at home. Manny Fernandez leads the Wild to their second win in franchise history. And the Wild are tied in the standings now in their division in a 4-point game, as you called it, Tom, with the Calgary Flames.
And what a big victory this is for this team. Coming back, as we've said, this team has played a lot of games as of late. It's been very difficult, but they've been able to respond, and they come through with a victory. It's a 3-1. It was not an easy contest for them. They had a battle the whole way, and Manny Fernandez comes up big for the Wild once again. And those 2 points is so huge right now for this hockey club. But it isn't just the win, it's the confidence they get with it.
Well, the key is coming off that lopsided loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-1. Everybody talked about the Wild was tired on the second night of back-to-back. Well, the Flames were on the second night of a back-to-back, and the Wild took advantage of it. The Wild are victorious. So for Tom Reed and Eric Nelson, I'm Mike Goldberg saying good night from the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, where the Wild have extinguished the Flames 3-1. Be sure to join us on election night, Tuesday, November 7th, from Pepsi Center in Denver, when the Wild face Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and the Colorado Avalanche. Live coverage will begin with the pregame report at 7:30 Central Time. You've been watching Fox Sports Net coverage of the Minnesota Wild on MSC. Coming up next, the National Sports Report. So long, everybody.